My name is Tiffany Davis. I'm an executive broker here at Villa Home.
I'm Ricardo, Tippitt, executive broker as well at Villa Home.
And I'm Deontae, Mccuien, an agent.
Awesome. So this morning, we'd like to welcome you to our podcast. We are kicking off a podcast. Propertunities is the name of the podcast. Please like, follow, support us. We are coming to you to educate you about the home buying process. We're going to, every week, we're going to come live at 8:30 on Saturdays. And we might not do it every week. We might start off every 2 weeks. I think we're going to go every 2 weeks to start it off. And we hope that you guys are interactive and you get some education and you get educated on how to purchase, how to sell, all things real estate. We want you to have some professionals that can help you navigate you through the process.
So, coming into real estate, a lot of home buyers' question is just how do I get started, right?
Right.
So, one of the main things in getting started in the home buyer process, of course, the first thing you need to look at is your credit. I would say your credit. Yeah,
Definitely budgeting and financing is very important. A lot of times when you call a realtor and ask us to see a property, we're going to ask, are you pre-approved? That's one of the reasons is because we want to know where we should be showing you properties. We don't want to show you a $600,000 property and you can only afford a $75,000 house because the $600 properties are very different from the $75,000.
We all just wasted our time.
Yeah, you setting yourself up for failure. So,
a good rule of thumb is that your monthly housing cost should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. You should speak with a mortgage advisor who can look at your financial health and help determine your buying power. And I do think that we have somebody that knows all about credit. I used to actually repair credit a couple years ago, and our my co-host, Mr. Tip the Realtor, I know my people know me as Tip because I've been Tip all my life. Well, I met somebody else, Tip the Realtor, on Instagram. Have you just started something with credit?
I don't. I'm affiliated with a company that does.
Oh, okay.
Credit, yeah. So I don't actually do it myself, but I got the people in place to get your credit repair done, credit counseling, whatever you need in that area. I can send anybody the link, and we can get that going for you.
Yeah, so anybody that has credit questions, go over to Tip the Realtor and get that information.
So I got a question for you guys. What's the lowest credit score you ever seen somebody be able to purchase a house or get approved for a loan?
Well, for me, the lowest I've ever did was a 590.
590.
Yeah, and that's because, like, in the middle of the deal, the guy went and bought a truck. So it decreased his credit score or whatever else, but I had a great lender that was still able to move some stuff around and get the deal done.
Shout out that lender then.
Scott Taylor.
All right, Scott.
Side note, do not ever purchase anything in the middle of the process of buying.
Right.
Oh man, that can kill a deal.
Yeah. I just had a deal killed this week. A client quit her job a week before closing.
Nightmare.
No, he's just playing.
No, I'm
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm dead
How you gonna
serious.
buy a house with no
They quit
job,
their job.
without a job?
Yeah.
They thought since they had been verified.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
Mm-hmm. We were that close.
Okay. So
Man, that client ought to kill themselves. No, I'm just playing. I forgot we live in a sensitive era. But,
Yeah.
I mean, as an agent, I would have been like, that's happened to me. I mean, not that particular thing, but I've had a rent verification that kept me from closing, and the person was just tricking us like, yeah, I've never been late on my rent, and we waiting on closing, we waiting on rent verification, and we don't get it. And then we do get it, and that person has been late several times. It's like, just tell us the truth on the front end so we can help you.
yeah, and so my experience was a similar experience. It wasn't that they quit working; they changed jobs and they went from a W-2 employee to a 1099 employee. which we were able to still close on the deal, but it delayed it another 6 months. So, when you're looking to buy a home, make sure that you have those things in order. Make sure you're not quitting your job or changing your job. And if you're going to change your job, make sure that you have communication with your lender and your agent to make sure that that's a wise decision, or that it doesn't need to be held off.
And fellas, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
well, fellas also, well, mostly fellas, make sure you pay your child support. I have came across a couple deals where people had to pay child support, or it killed the deal because it popped up as a lien. You owe back child support, it's a lien. Okay, you will have to pay that up or get it current before you can purchase a property.
That's good information to have. Okay, so we talked about budgeting and financing, making sure you have that financing.
What are some things that lenders usually need to get you approved for a loan? Like what are you going to need?
W-2s, tax returns, check stubs. They going to want your life story, okay? For at least the past 2 years, you would say, I think you would say.
2 years.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions, but normally you're going to be looking at 2 years worth of W-2s or tax statements.
Unless you're doing like a bank statement loan or something like that in that nature, like things kind of diversified. But
I think it's important to know those things. And it's important to know that somebody's not going to let you borrow $100,000 if they don't know that you can pay it back. This is a question that I have, and I really get frustrated about this myself. We run into the problem sometimes. They'll say that somebody can't afford the house, and I know that this makes everybody mad. If they're paying a rent for $1,200 and then they want a mortgage that would actually cost $900, and then the bank tells them, no, you can't afford you can't afford the property.
yeah.
Why? I think we should talk about why that happens.
Go ahead.
Okay, so most of the time the reason it happens is because when the lender is looking at affordability, they're not just looking at your monthly. They're looking at your credit history to see if you're a payer, to see if you are a stable person. If you are a person that changes jobs every 2 months, but you can make your house, you are making your rent payments on time, that's not really stability for a lender. They're talking about giving you $100,000. So whereas when you're renting, they're not letting you borrow anything. You actually live there month to month. So if you mess up something or if you miss a payment, they can come put you out immediately. The foreclosure process takes a long time. If you've ever looked at a foreclosure, saw one on Zillow and was waiting, or passed by one that you knew was foreclosed, it takes over a year for the whole process to play out. So it's not always that they're just looking at the monthly payment. I think that's important to know as a home buyer. I get that all the time. Well, I got denied for the loan, but I pay $900 in rent every month, and this payment, I looked on Zillow and the calculator said the payment was only going to be $1,000. So if I've been paying my rent, I can pay the house note. But the bank has to know that you're worthy of that.
Yeah, and I would say don't rely on Zillow to give you reliable information.
What?
Call your realtor.
Zillow?
Yeah. Like seriously.
We don't want
it have a lot of misinformation on there. So, yeah, I definitely say that. And also, even if you're a college grad, you can actually use your time that you were in college as work history to qualify for a loan. So even when you graduate and, like, let's say you've been on your job for 30 days, that time that you were in college can be used to as your work experience, so you can still proceed in buying the property.
Really? I didn't know that. I like that information. That's good. What else would you think that what else do a lender look at?
Debt to income.
DTI. And you said what? Ideally 28%?
Yeah, 30. they want to see it around 30. Most of them at least want to see it under 50.
Mm-hmm. And if you can get your debt to income up to 50, what type of loan is that?
It's FHA.
Now, when we talk about loan types, you got FHA, rural development, you got conventional, you got no doc loans. What would you? There's different opinions on what's the best loan for you to get for your client. Mm-hmm. And I guess my rule of thumb is when I'm working with my client, the best thing for you to do is to sit down and evaluate your income and how much money, your reserves that you have.
Right.
I'm a big advocate of saying, hey, if you have reserves, let's hold on to those because your lifestyle is going to change when you purchase your own home. Mm-hmm. Opposed to some people think that you always have to have 20% down. No. That's usually going to be a conventional and you're going to be looking at an investment property most of the time when you're having that amount down. Now, there are conventional loans out there where you can get like 3% down, 5% down, et cetera, et cetera. But that's a lot of red tape within that. And, people who have that money, that 20% down with my clients, I'm going to tell them, hey, why don't we, if you don't have to go conventional, let's look at an FHA or a rural development loan. Let's look at an FHA or rural development loan where you can actually still be comfortable with your monthly payment and your reserves are sitting back there, whether you want to invest those reserves into, something else that's going to create more income, or if you want to take that and say, hey, what if something happens and I need to hold on to that money? But that's something that you would be able to sit down and talk to your lender about, and maybe a financial advisor. I don't think it has to go that far, but it just depends on really where you're at financially.
Well, the 20% to me comes in play the best because it's going to avoid you having to pay that PMI.
That's what I was sitting here. That was going to be
that PMI comes out of that monthly payment. You're saving money now. So, that's the best thing about that. But other than that, usually I don't see them over 10%, down payment when it comes to something.
Yeah. Most of the time, the down payment
3 to 5.
Yeah. They have pretty good conventional loans where you can still get that for 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Depending on your credit profile. That's why the credit is very important when you're purchasing a property if you're going to be getting a loan.
Yeah. And First Security Bank too has 100% conventional loan First Steps program too for first-time home buyers. Only in the central Arkansas area though. Can't go out to rural areas.
First Horizon also has something of that sort.
Regions as well.
Yeah.
Affordable.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
once you get approved.
Okay, so we got budgeting and financing, then we got pre-approval. The next step, once you get pre-approved, we got to start that house hunting and offers. House hunting, you call a qualified realtor. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about the difference. Let's talk about the difference in realtors. Should I just call the person? Oh, I see this house. It got a sign in the yard. Let me call the realtor.
Somebody asked me the other day.
How does that work? How does that even work, Ricardo?
Well, yeah, I had a lady that called me the other day. I'm like, do I have to work with the realtor that's on this sign? I said no. As realtors, brokers, whatever, we can sell any property in the state of Arkansas or the state that we're licensed in.
So you can sell me a house if I was riding down the street and I saw Savannah Diamond sign in the yard, I could just call you.
You can just call me.
What if it's in Mccuien?
Call me.
What if it's in Northwest Arkansas?
Call me.
I don't. Okay, so let's talk about the difference in a listing agent and a buyer's agent. A buyer's agent, if your agent works for you, they work for you. They are not representing the property. They represent you. Once you sign, all good agents will have you sign a buyer agency representation form up front when they start working with you. And the reason why is because people don't always understand the home buying process, and they may call several different realtors. Well, how does one get paid if you call in 6 different realtors?
Well, it's the luck of the draw. If you ain't,
your game tight.
Yeah, right.
But it's important. It's important to note that your realtor represents you. They can take you all over the state. If you have a realtor that doesn't want to travel with you, maybe you should call a different realtor.
Or maybe you should make sure that agent has a referral network of reliable agents that they trust throughout that process.
Right.
Say, for instance, that I'm here, like we're here in Central Arkansas. You may know an agent that you have a relationship with up in Northwest Arkansas or South Arkansas. That I'm actually have few people that I'm working with that they have their agent here in Central Arkansas, but they have a listing down in El Dorado.
Right.
And what they're able to do is communicate with those agents down there to be able to have access to the home, and but they're communicating with the homeowner to say, hey, we're still working through this process, but the agent down there is helping get us buyers into the home, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we might have an in-house agent in that area too.
Right.
So.
That's absolutely important. Villa Home has a national footprint. Let me just put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do.
So you said you were talking about buyer's representation. When you're working with your buyer, there's different forms when you're talking about putting a buyer's agreement together. You got an exclusive, non-exclusive, et cetera, et cetera. Now, once you have that buyer's agreements put in place, that you're able to say, hey, we're strictly you're my client, I'm your agent. What's the next step when we're working on the buyer's end?
Okay, I would say I'm going to sit down with them and actually see what location they're looking to move to and what type of property that they are looking for. So that's when we can kind of narrow things down, like your bare minimum most of the time, because sometimes people come to you, they want this, and that, and only 2 properties going to pop up. If we actually got to sit down and put every single last credential you want in the property in the system. So we kind of narrow it down to bare minimum. That's when I send you a list of properties, and we're about to start scheduling the properties that we want to go see after you pick from that list. Or it might be something that you've seen on your own that might not be in our list. Whatever the case is, we're going to find your home.
Okay. So we went out shopping. We've been shopping.
We're
looking. We found a property that as an agent, when I listen to my client and then we're walking through properties, there's keywords that I look for. And, like is cool. It's all cool. But most of the time when you're ready to make an offer, all you're going to hear is, I love this. Yeah. I love that. I love it.
I want to share this experience. Last year, I was selling a property to a young lady, and we went to 4 properties that day. And the first 3 we were in the third when she was like, I don't know what take people so long to look at these houses, because like I've been in and out having. I was like, I just said, We made it to the 4th one, and she loved it. So it was like, I said at the end of that one, I said, see, now you see how we went in and out this one, because when you find the one,
right,
you are visualizing yourself. As soon as you walk in the one, that it's like, and that's the part I love. I love helping buyers find the one. When they find the one,
they get all starry-eyed and everything.
It's so exciting.
But
start dreaming with them.
Yeah,
and that's great. But as far as professionals, we have to take those rose-colored lenses off for our clients and just bring them back to reality and say, okay, if you really like this home, that's great. If you love this home, that's great. I want to hear those things, but let's tone it down a little bit and let's get into business mode. Right. Another thing is when we're part of the shopping process, I always like to tell my clients, because of the world that we're in today, people have video recorders, in their homes and things of that sort. So when you're walking into their house, don't go in talking about your finances and, I love this house so much, I'm willing to pay over asking price for it, because you're inclined to say something like that. But and that's our job realtors to coach our clients in the right direction, even on
the
even on the small things, because when we're looking at that, it's like, hey, buyer beware for your protection. I'm here to protect you from and make sure you're not put at a disadvantaged situation.
Yeah.
So, but once we get past that point and we find that house and we're all starry-eyed and we're down to business, I'm going to tell my client, if you love this house that much, what do we need to do? Put a ring on it. Make an offer. So when we're presenting the offer, what are some obstacles that you may want to explain to your client? What does that look like for a buyer?
Well, first things first for me, before I put in an offer for a client, I didn't list this property, so I really don't know too much about this property.
Sure.
I'm pulling comps to make sure we are putting in a good offer on this property and to make sure my buyer is not underpaying, overpaying, anything in that nature. So that's my first thing to understand. Sometimes, most of the time, it can be priced right, or in these scenarios, somewhere in the range, you know what I'm saying? But I let my clients ultimately choose what offer that they want to put. I'm not going to put too much influence on it because you already know how that can
go. Right. And how about you, Tiffany, when we're talking about offers, what do you...
Generally for me, unless it's a property that they tell me about on a whim, I usually run a comparative market analysis whenever we make the appointment. So I know if it's priced right. But when I show the property, I usually tell them about the properties in the area are being sold for this, or the price per square feet, and if it's priced appropriately, or if it's overpriced or underpriced. But like Ricardo said, you cannot tell people. Like, I've had different scenarios. I've sold properties that I probably, it's just up to the client. The client is the person that decides.
I mean, legally, you have to put in that offer that they want to put in.
Even if it's $1. I mean, you have to do it. It ain't going to get accepted.
No. That's the listing agent. I have, I'll say this. As the buyer's agent, I represent the buyer. Mm-hmm. I don't care how the listing agent feels about my buyer's offer. Mm-hmm. Some buyer's agents do. I don't care about how it makes you feel that my buyer wanted to put in a $20,000 list than what you wanted. It's not for your seller to be happy about. I mean, right. I hope they're happy, but
I would say for realtors to stop getting your personal feelings involved in the deal. Like, it's like, seriously, let your seller do that. You are representing them. Like, we can put offers in on certain properties, and realtors just be like, they start acting real snobbish and acting like it's you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Look, I'm putting it out there.
Yeah. They too much. Right. They too much. You're like, oh, well, that ain't got nothing to do with you. This is not your property.
They get so butthurt over offers. No, my client is not going to accept this, and why would you? That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay, cool. Just present the offer.
Right. Just do your job. Present the offer. Sometimes I will tell people, like, I don't think they're going to accept it, but I will,
I mean, you just,
that's the reality of it. But the thing is your client, at the end of the day, they're making a choice. It's their finances. This is one statement that I always say to my clients: hey, this is your money, not my money. Yeah. You're going to spend it how you want to spend it. Mm-hmm. And, my job is to educate you through the process while we're making it happen. So once we got an offer put out there, what are some other things you want to look at when you're making an offer? Like this, when we're looking at the contract, we got closing costs, we got surveys, we got
also if there's anything in the property you want to keep. If you want that refrigerator, that washer and dryer, just whatever you might see at the property that you might decide you want to keep.
Mm-hmm. So what?
Attachments.
right. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that. We just had a problem of that over this past week where we're representing the seller and the buying agent says, hey, we want to they didn't put it in the contract that they wanted the refrigerator. And before you present an offer, you want to make sure that you say, hey, I want that refrigerator. And as an agent, I usually try to do my due diligence when I'm representing a buyer to say, well, we're going to ask for that refrigerator. It was sitting in there. You loved it, right? You liked it? You liked the refrigerator? Let's ask for it.
Yeah.
Remember, banks are not in the business of financing personal things. So you have to always put in your contract to convey it no value on things like that.
Okay.
What about a survey? When do you suggest that your client get a survey?
I'm asking for that up front. I want to see if it's already available. Okay. But if it's not, we put it in the contract anyway.
Okay. Do you do that on every property?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So, like, if it's in a subdivision where you can generally pretty much tell where the property lines are, I explain that to my client, maybe you can get a plat map or something in that nature too. But yeah, other than that, we're dealing with acreage. It's a must. It's a must.
Yeah. And do you want to show just? I mean, there's different options on the real estate contract, So when you're talking about acreage, are you looking for all improvements? Or are you just looking for the corners? Or or is it you just based it
looking
on
for easements and all? Okay.
Okay. What is an easement, by the way?
Look, I'm more of on the types of easements, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't remember every term in the book.
Yeah, but an easement is basically saying, hey, if there's some kind of right of way to cross this property,
it could be a utility easement,
right?
Or whatever. So.
Right, but it's just saying that somebody
somebody
have rights to go across this property to get to the next piece of property, or to bring utilities across, or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go on to. So once you got an offer and you presented that offer, what's next? Either the property's going, or either the agent. To me, this is, and I guess it's kind of universal. I mean, you're going to either get an accepted offer, you're going to get a seller's counter, which is I'll do this, but I won't do that, or you're going to get a rejected offer. Yeah. The rejected offer is just dead in the water. It's not happening.
So my offer is gonna get accepted.
After the offer is accepted, you got 10 days to get the home inspection.
Right.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
You got 10 days to get the home
and
inspection.
Also, I'm gonna get with the lender to let them know how estimated payment and all this, so we know all of that stuff up front. We don't get to the closing table. Well, I think that's gonna be too much, for me to pay a month and all that type of stuff. So I let them know all that stuff up front.
Generally speaking, when you get that pre-approval and they go over those payments, which is pre-approval, but since a lot of times you don't have the property that you want, you have to wait until you have that accepted offer. And if you have a good lender, they're going to go over those every cost right then, because they don't want you to make it. They don't want to work for you for free, and nobody gets paid until the house actually closes. Right. So it would do the lender would be doing a disservice if they didn't disclose that information on the front end. You only have, for the most part, you always have 2 out-of-pocket expenses that you have to pay when you're getting ready to purchase a house. That's going to be the home inspection and the appraisal. The home inspection and the appraisal different in these ways. The home inspection is for soundness. It's going to check for things that work and don't work. And when you get your home inspection, you can, if something is gone, if something is bad with the roof or something of that nature, that's one thing. But if the doorbell don't work, they not fixing your doorbell.
We skipped the step, y'all.
What's that?
Title company.
We made some type company yet.
Well, we
have to accept the offer.
Accept the offer, but that's kind of all inclusive.
Right here.
It's all inclusive.
I'm just rethinking. I'm just
right.
I'm just saying, we pick Villa Title, then we can get Tiffany to close on your stuff.
I will close you. But first we got to get the inspection back and make sure that we're going to move forward. Because if the house has a bad foundation and Bobby Joe and them don't want to fix their foundation, then I don't need the title company or the appraisal being ordered because that's going to be an extra expense.
I'm just saying versus just choosing the title, not actually getting it all done or whatever. But
Okay. All right. So we will go to the after we get that home inspection and everything gets fixed. What if they don't want to fix stuff though? What if I get a home inspection and first off, let me clarify one more thing. So if you want the walls painted, is that a good thing to ask for after the inspection, Ricardo?
it can be. It just depends on the deal.
What you think?
Well, everything is negotiable in real estate. It's not, you don't close until you go to the closing table and you sign your documents. Everything is negotiable. So when I think paint is cosmetic. It's not a necessity. But I think that if my client is adamant about it, we're going to ask for it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's an allowance to get, you know, they may want $12,000 allowance for a paint job. But I've had that happen before where my client was like, I'm not worried about the repairs. This house is just not the colors that I like. I like the functionality of the house. I like all of this stuff, but this paint job has got to be. And so, you know, they brought their painters in to give them an estimate. And they were like, oh, well, it's going to cost $12,000. Well, I want a $12,000 allowance, or I want a reduction in price.
Okay. To me, in my opinion, I want to know that when we walk through the house, and I want to put that on the offer because to me, the inspection is not about the color. We already knew the color of the house before we got the inspection, so I want to know that you don't want the color. That you don't like the color when we write the offer, so I can put that in your offer on the front end. So the repairs are strictly dealing with repair issues. That's my preference.
My preference, I say it's okay to do it after the inspection because I put $12,000 worth of paint allowance. I already know I'm going to get a counter offer. My buyer going to have to pay more. Versus I already have a deal that has been sealed. We under contract, and I can come back and ask for that. Like the seller is tied in this deal now. They want to negotiate. They don't want to start all over and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
We here now, baby.
Yeah. That's just how I feel about it. So
yeah. So, but as far as, you know, when we're talking about repairs and doing the inspection, there's things that's going to be considered major. Cosmetic is not major to me.
I don't generally answer cosmetics.
When we're talking about major things, you're talking about a roof, a foundation, plumbing issues, HVAC. Those are things that's considered major costs. Say, I mean, even if it's functioning, you're talking about most people that's first-time home buyers, or that they're going into the process of, hey, I'm changing a lifestyle, I'm going into ownership, and they may have the funds to be able to do their down payment and, you know, get into the house, but over time, you know, life starts catching up with you, and then what happens when that AC goes out, or what happens when that that little spot in the roof that was leaky starts getting worse and worse, and now you got to replace a whole entire roof. That can be costly, and, you know, depending on what the issue is, which I would say would bring us to another step, is your homeowner's insurance versus your home warranty. Those things that you're going to ask for, you know, or need to get replaced or repaired or you know, fixed, you know.
I think it's important to have a home warranty. Even just from my own experience, I moved in my house 2 months later, my HVAC went out.
Yeah.
Now, something could have cost me $3,000, cost me $60 deductible.
Yeah.
So it definitely made a difference for the realtor that actually sold me my house, because I wasn't a real estate agent then, to put that home warranty in the contract when we submitted the offer.
Awesome.
Yeah, and your client's gonna be happy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be happy. I mean, you might not be knowing that you got some repairs to do because it's an inconvenience. That's not happy, but when you see the cost savings of it, Yeah, you're gonna be like, okay, great. So what's the difference between a home warranty and insurance? What does that?
Well, the home insurance covers the structure of the home.
Okay.
So home warranty covers things like your appliances, your electrical, your plumbing, garage door, your heating and air, things in nature. So it's gonna cover more of the things that's actually helping your house function.
Yeah. So what I tell people when I look at the difference between a home warranty and an insurance is that insurance is going to cover things that it has a like natural disaster or like a disaster. That's what so say for instance that lightning strikes your home. Insurance will cover that. You don't have to worry about home
if they don't have an act of God clause.
Right. Right. That's what I mean. Act of God.
Yeah.
So things like act of God. So a tree falls down and falls on top of your house or your AC unit or whatever. The insurance will cover those things. Now your warranty is going to cover those things that it just stopped functioning. Like your AC just went out or your dishwasher just went out. Your refrigerator, if it's covered in your home warranty, just went out. Those are the types of things. Some plumbing things, some electrical things, depending on what tier of warranty that you got at that time.
Yeah, because it can cover swimming pools. It has some additional things that a home might come with that you get covered, for extra whatever else. So, but trust, we didn't research home warranties. We know what a good one gonna cost when we put it in the contract. So,
how much is a good one gonna cost?
I would say $800 at least.
And also, I just wanted to go back because we kind of got off. We kind of went way
into
so many other things. But I wanted to reiterate that an inspection reveals any potential problems with the property, and an appraisal assures you and the lender that the home is worth the agreed upon purchase price. It's important for buyers to know the difference. Sometimes they don't know the difference, and that's a big one. And of course, all the other stuff, the home warranty and the insurance, that's also very important.
And don't forget, within that 3 business days, you have to have that seller property disclosure if it's one available for that property, if the owner occupied the property. So.
If the owner occupied it, if they've never occupied it, they don't have anything to tell you about the property other than it's for sale.
Right.
How important is it for people who are purchasing as an investor to have a home warranty? Is that something that you do often? Like if you're investing, you want to fix and flip, do you ask for a warranty then?
Most investors aren't asking for home warranties.
Yeah,
most investors are on when they're pretty savvy
Do it yourself.
And then but usually that's a selling technique for them later on to cover. And gosh, you can put a home warranty on your home when you go to sell it. And if there's something that needs to be addressed, then they can address that before you actually sell the home. So that's where most investors utilize it, or sellers in general utilize the home warranty.
Yeah, they'll offer it back when they sell the property.
Right.
Come on in, Nicole. Nicole Kelly's here. She's joining us. She's a member of the Villa Home team. She just walked in, so we're excited.
Hello.
We always excited. It's a family affair up here at Villa, so we always want to make people welcome. All right, so
we were at inspection. So we've got the inspection done.
Now let's talk about title. Let's talk about that because I don't want the title order to after we know we buying. Okay. So now we get to the title. Ricardo.
What about title?
So Ricardo wanted to talk about order and title.
I mean, it's nothing particular in it for me, but I'm not gonna choose your title company for you. So really, as realtors, we can't. So I'm gonna send you a list, or you can go Google some, however you want to do it, and define your title company. So, but yeah.
what title does is they make sure that the chain of custody for the property, that you're getting a clear property. So they will research the property. They used to call them abstracts. They look at the history of the property and make sure that there are no liens attached to the property when you purchase the property. It's a very important part of the process. If there are liens, they have to be cleared. Liens, that's what Ricardo was hitting on earlier when he was on you fellas about child support. You can't, this is when things are revealed. They're going to research the property. They're also going to research the people that's involved to make sure no liens are attached to them. So that's what title does. And once you get a clear title, are we headed to the closing table? If you've already provided all your documents to your lender.
Right.
If you provide all your documents to the lender, once the appraisal comes back and the title is clear, that's when you hear you're clear to close. And that is music to everybody. It's just what I be doing. But don't go cash the check, realtors. Don't go and buy you nothing based off of that, because it could happen like Ricardo said. You get that clear to close, and your client might quit their job.
But that's a learning experience. So, I've had, like I said, we've all had those moments in our career where, a client did something that was not to their advantage, where the deal didn't make it to the table for whatever the reason was. But, we'll know next time.
Right.
It's like one of those things. I'll know next time not to, or to
see my mistake when I admit that. I get in the habit of just thinking people already know not to do these things.
Right.
Like, you're buying a house, so what I didn't do is send her my packet that shows the things that we call it the 10 commandments of real estate.
Okay.
It's basically like that. So you kind of know the information of do's and don'ts when you're going through the process of doing that. So I would actually take blame in that myself.
Look at that accountability. Accountability.
I really still feel like that's on whoever's buying a house. You gotta have a job.
I mean, of course.
You gotta have a job to buy a house. Come on, man. Like, they want us to be accountable for everything. Like, you gotta have some sense in this.
Hey, if you wanna quit your job after you close on your house, after you sign all the documents, that's your business.
As soon as you get them keys, if you want to quit.
You just don't know how many people's time you have wasted by doing that, though.
Exactly. Now your realtor can't even get paid and drove you all across town looking for a house. Title can't get paid. They don't hand
ain't getting paid.
Ain't nobody getting paid.
Appraisal.
And we bad people.
Yeah,
appraisal get paid. I think I probably need to give me a license in
I was
appraisal.
looking at the other day.
So you can get paid all the time. As opposed, I swear I just looked at it myself because
inspectors, appraisal.
Yeah, they get their check.
But the thing is,
I was looking at stuff.
But we almost, it's like a conflict of interest, so you can't do it on your own, like on your own deals.
That's fine.
And stuff like
That's
that.
fine. Ricardo, y'all sell enough. I can appraise. In the month of, I think it was June. I hadn't looked at our numbers since then. For June, our team closed like 46 deals.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I had a good month to close. And I had Ricardo, Mandy, Savannah. Y'all looked out for your girl. And also, I'm a mobile notary, so if you need some documents notarized on the go, the fee, it may be a little different from going to somebody's office, but it's worth it. Especially if you want to close. If you're a title company looking for a good mobile notary, call me. I'm certified.
Give me information.
Call me at 501-533-9002. You can also find me on Google. I think TSD signing service.
Already. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Rewind.
All right, we're going to do a recap.
So, we got the inspection done.
Mm-hmm.
The inspector has found some things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's next?
If the inspector finds something?
He gonna find new construction no matter what.
Right, that's their job. He gonna find a loose screw somewhere.
Right.
The next thing I'm going to, and I think this is kind of universal. We're going, me as an agent, I'm going to overlook because the inspection repair, I'm going to look at the inspection itself that the inspector provides. before, and that a way it allows me to get my mental right and get myself in a position to where I can be able to communicate effectively with my client what's going on with this house.
Right.
And then once I get that, I'm gonna call them, my client, and be like, hey, look over your inspection. We, depending on how far along, how many days we have left to submit a request for repairs, I'm going to say, hey, look up, take 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever the time frame that we got to look over it by yourself.
Yeah, I always tell them to look at it. I always let them receive it, and I call them the next day.
Right.
So they can always have, I always want them to have time to look at it and digest it, because I advise my clients before we get the inspection, hey, we're paying somebody to find out what's wrong with your property. They're gonna find things that's wrong, and these are the things that I don't want us to ask for. Like I don't want to ask for cosmetic things. That's not the time. I want to ask for things, because sometimes this is what, to me, this messes up your inspection request. If I ask for repairs, if the roof is bad, and I'm still talking about I didn't like that the doorbell don't work. Like, come on now, you can buy a new doorbell. I can get you a Ring camera when you close. But I don't want you asking for you to. I don't want to ask for silly things in the middle of an inspection report, because it takes away from, like, sometimes I've had people don't want to fix anything because we've listed 14, we've listed 16 things on the inspection report, when actually all you needed was those 3 major things. Mm-hmm. If you got bad wiring, we need that repair. Mm-hmm. But we don't have to have, it's some silly things. I can't even think of all of the silly things.
They come with every different situation.
Right.
So,
replace the light bulb in the closet.
Right. So all I'm saying is, and I've had clients that are stern about, no, I want it on the report, and I'm like, we just need the roof done. Like, if the light bulb really gonna keep you from buying it, I'm gonna buy some light. I got the light bulb. Like, let's just not put that on this report, because that don't make sense.
It can kill the deal asking for everything in that inspection report too.
So I always tell them on the front end, this is what we're going to ask for. We're looking for the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, and the foundation. That's what we're looking. If it's anything about that, we definitely want to hit that. We're not going to ask for it. And for the most part, they're okay with that. Even with new construction, we definitely want everything resolved, because it's brand new.
And yeah, it's
We're
important.
Plastic, I'm brand new.
It's very important to get that inspection, new construction, whatever, because I've had people that wanted to waive it before, but I explained to them. They signed my FOIA protection, get an inspection, everything. I'm telling you, I drilled it into them. They still didn't want to get an inspection.
Don't say no. Why y'all trying to save $500, $450, and it's the best peace of mind you will get.
It's the biggest investment that you're going to make.
Now, she had a new construction, over $300,000 house. Had the remote fireplace or whatever. Mm-hmm. One day the remote started malfunctioning. No gas shut off to the fireplace. If you would have got an inspection, you would have knew that.
But you know who they'll blame?
Me.
Exactly. All I can do is give you, and right, when you're emotionally going through buying a property, you might not listen to all of that. You might not even listen to your realtor when they're telling you, hey, this is important. We want this. And you just going through that process, so then it's like it's the realtor's fault when it falls back, when something is not working in the property.
Imagine your house getting hot and you can't stop it.
Hey, we gonna have to call the gas company. Hey, y'all come shut this down.
All right, so I guess we can say we've negotiated repairs, unless you're dealing with an as-is property. I think they need to know the aspect of that too. Because even though the property says it's as is, yes, you still can ask for repairs. That don't mean they're going to do them, but you still can ask. But let's say we've negotiated on repairs. Mm-hmm. So what's next after that? We're basically waiting on the seller to get the repairs done, for one.
Mm-hmm. So you got 10 business days to do the inspection. Mm-hmm. And then after you do your inspection and you submit your request, it's 5 business days for the seller to respond to your request. And then once we get to that point that they say yes, no, maybe indifferent, then we're waiting for those repairs to be done.
Right.
And another thing, repairs could take up to almost closing to get done, depending on how major the situation is. But that's the cool thing about having what we call in the industry an IRSA, which is the Inspection Repair Survey Addendum. And that just protects your client all the way to the point of closing to say these repairs that we requested are going to get done. And there's documentation. There's a system in place for that IRSA. And your very last step to that is signing when you do your final walkthrough, saying that all these repairs that were requested are done. Now, once you sign that and submit it to the seller, that's saying I'm cool with the condition of the property.
Right. Also, just me myself, when I'm listing these repairs, major repairs that need to be done, I'm also putting in there by licensed contractor, because I want receipts. I don't need to see Pimp C's handyman service came over there. He was no business license, not licensed in bundle, whatever he did, shade tree mechanic working on my client's house, or future house.
Yeah.
So if you want your shade tree mechanic to do it before you list it.
Right.
Get your uncle to come put the light switch in before you list it. Because once it's listed, we want to know that it's the real deal, not Bobby Joe.
Well, and not only that is you're protecting your client, because usually when you have a licensed and bonded person that comes out and do these repairs, they're going to warranty that work. So say, for instance, I had a client that recently closed on a house, and they put a brand new air conditioner in the house before we closed on it.
What?
Brand new? Oh, they got everything that they wanted. It's dope.
You negotiated that?
Yeah. I was like, we're not closing unless they do that. Like, it was a concern, because when we was doing our, going in checking on the house, we did our walkthrough. It's middle of summer. The AC's not working. It's not blowing correctly. Well, it's blowing, but it's not blowing out any cold air. They sent a guy over there to put Freon in it. It still didn't work. And I was like, hey, look. And they had some concerns about other things, but it was like, look, those things aren't as major. They wasn't major concerns, but I was like, if they don't get this air condition fixed, I don't think we should close on it, because you're talking about another $8,000 just for a new AC unit. And yeah, you may have a warranty, but it's that 30-day period is not going to be to your benefit,
Right.
So. But what happened was the AC company came out, they did the repairs, they replaced the AC unit. Well, there was some faulty stuff that happened. And, after we closed on the house, and they were like, well, this is what's going on, my lights are flickering, and it only does that when the AC kicks on. So they came back, they called because they had the warranty of the work that was done. They came back out and did fixed it to make sure that wasn't a major issue. So that's the beauty of having a licensed contractor that's licensed and bonded and insured, because they're going to come out and insure their work.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would say.
I said versus Bobby Joe. That's what she said.
Hey, he got the tail light warranty.
Yeah.
When them tail lights disappear, that warranty is over with.
Yeah. So let's say we got the repairs done. Everything is good to go. Everybody's satisfied. I mean, this is what I call my breathing time. Okay. We've actually got a chance to breathe now. We're kind of waiting on the lenders and the title companies to get some of their work caught up, underwriting and all that good stuff. So what would you tell your buyers in the midst of that time? Like, what are you telling them and keeping in touch with things about at that time?
Definitely to touch on what you said. It's during that time, underwriting and stuff, that I go back and I guarantee that they're not making those purchases that you was talking about earlier. That's for sure. That's what comes off the top of my head. We want to make sure that you're not doing anything to your accounts to change up.
Yeah.
Because it could jeopardize you going to closing.
Right.
Well, we also just reassuring we're going to check up. We're doing checkups, especially when we're talking about these repairs. Where are we at on the repairs? How long is it going to take? Do you have pictures of it? Doing the follow-ups, talking to the bank, is there anything that we foresee a problem going on, or with title company? Is there a problem that we might, or an obstacle that we're going to have to overcome here in the, before closing?
Right.
Because those things are important, because again, our job as an agent is to be able to educate and inform our clients on where they're at in the process. And it gives, the thing is even though it's a resting time for us, we still giving our clients a peace of mind. If I'm following up with you, say with it, every 2 or 3 days, especially and that's one thing. As we're getting closer to the end of the closing, we're going to talk a whole lot.
Yeah.
We might not talk as much as in the first beginning stages of it, but as we get into the closing, closer to the closing, we probably going to talk every single day.
Right.
So we can be informed on informing you on anything that's happening. I mean, whether it's small or large, we're just going to talk about it. And that's another thing I want to put out there is sometimes I feel like people are afraid to talk to their clients about the big things or anything. Sometimes they just get into a moment to where they're like, oh, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, it's a lot going on, and then when the situations come up, they're like, man, I'm just going to try to not think about it.
Yeah.
Or we're going to sweep it under the rug.
Give an example of like not wanting to talk about.
Like sweeping things try to sweep things under the rug, or thinking that they're going to go away. So say for instance something major happens or something that happens there's a hiccup at the title company, or your closing's going to get delayed, or whatever may happen, and you're like, man, I got to tell them this. I got to go talk to my client about this. But the thing is that's your job. That's your job. You have to go and tell your client, and you have to be confident in it. The thing is usually when you're going to tell your client these things, you probably already brainstorm 10 different obstacles that could be in the way and how you can come up with a solution for that problem.
Right, because sometimes you have to extend the closing date, and let's just say somebody's lease is ending wherever they stay. Now they have to figure out where they're going to go. We can handle that too. We have the early occupancy addendum.
Yeah.
Don't recommend it, but it's there.
I'm gonna say I don't recommend delayed occupancy.
Yeah.
Tell me why I just had a deal like that.
I've had them too. I just recently had one. Especially when we're talking about delayed occupancy, the reason I'm not a fan of delayed occupancy is because you closed on that property and that person's still living in your home. You didn't buy. Most people don't buy their home to be landlords. Especially if it's your primary residence.
So if you're an investor, it's different.
Okay. But as far as my primary residence, I'm not buying this home to be a landlord. Plus, I have to think about, man, what if we close on this house and this person comes in and they tear my stuff up while I'm waiting to get in there, or when they're moving out, they punch some holes in the wall from moving furniture.
I had deals
we just talked about last week.
I had deals with delayed occupancy agreements, and nothing came of them. They got done and everything worked out well.
Yeah.
What can be put in place to protect you and to protect your property? Like when you do have
insurance.
Well, you can call the insurance company to.
And if somebody do something, I would press charges.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the reason why I say I try to prevent those things. I mean, we all just want a smooth closing. It just sometimes it don't happen. The reason, again, who wants to get the law involved? Who wants to be inconvenienced on? It's like going to, put it like this. A little kid, you go to the store, you buy a gift or a toy or something. You were ready to open that toy up. And then you open that toy up, 3 days later, come to find out that toy needs batteries. and now you can't even play with your toy because you gotta go buy batteries, or it doesn't function like it should. Now you gotta what? It's just that's the same concept of buying a house and having delayed occupancy to me. It's like, okay, I get to this house, I get in there and there's holes in the wall that wasn't there when I purchased this house. That's an inconvenience. That's a cost. And do I really want to get the law involved over some sheetrock?
Yeah.
It's just the inconvenience of it. Some people will, but my goal is to try to avoid that at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So I guess now we're getting closer to the closing table,
Mm-hmm.
which I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay. What important thing is at least 3 days before closing, we got to get that property disclosure signed again. We got to make sure nothing has went on with that property in that time period, and get the seller to sign off on that, because if something has happened and they don't want to disclose it, now they can be held liable for whatever damage or anything that's been done to that property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And then after that, document acknowledgement, which basically the document acknowledgement is saying, hey, I've received my documents for the entire contract.
mm-hmm.
I'm signing off saying that I have those documents and I did sign those documents. And
After page 4
right, right.
Yeah.
So, but what you got next?
Oh yeah, I mean the final walkthrough.
The final walkthrough, right? Yeah.
The final walkthrough. So before you close, it's usually done the day before, something like that. You go through the final walkthrough of the property that you're purchasing. So you want to go and look at that property and make sure it looks like the property you fell in love with when we put it on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
What if it doesn't?
we got some things to talk about.
Has that ever happened to either of you guys?
Yeah,
Where you
actually,
close, where you been ready to close and you went for your final walkthrough and everything was different? Has that ever happened to either of y'all?
Not yet.
yeah, I have. I've had it to where, and this is, I'm gonna take accountability. I had a client that it was a storage building that was not attached to the property.
They
took it. We got to the house after. Well, it was after closing. Like we had asked for the key to get in there and everything, but they never responded. They never said nothing about it. Then we got to closing. We closed on the house. We came to I went to the house with them after closing. We get there and there's no storage building.
Yeah. So
And
that's just moving back to step one.
Right.
If you got a storage building in that house and it's not attached, but even if it is attached, I still put it in there anyway.
Right.
You want that storage building to convey with the property.
Right.
Yeah.
Refrigerators, storage buildings.
Okay, so what do you do when you get there and it's not there?
And you put it in the contract?
That's the first thing you look at.
And it wasn't there.
If you
put it in the contract, then legal now it become a legal situation.
Right.
Okay.
Now you gotta pursue legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I want to talk about is, because as a buyer you want to talk about utilities, things you do prior to moving into your house,
right,
or before you close on your house, because a lot of times there's waiting periods, etc., etc. What I've always encouraged my clients to do is when they get to their settlement statement, and their contract, usually just submit that over to the utility companies to ask them to just transfer the utilities into their name prior to closing on it, because they don't want to get there at a new house that they're trying to move into and have to wait 4 days. Because as agents, I think we usually try to get a closing on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so our clients can be getting settled in by Monday, or somewhat settled in by Monday, so they have the whole week, middle of the week and the weekend to do those things before the next work time or day start.
Yeah, and if you got a good property disclosure, all of that stuff, the companies that they're gonna need to call and stuff like that will be in the property disclosure. Because a lot of times we get the call, who we need to call to get the lights on, the water turned on. It's in your property disclosure, if it is one.
Right.
Yeah.
And transfer mail from your old residence.
Right.
Make sure that you contact the post office to have your mail sent to your new residence.
Mm-hmm.
What else y'all got? Y'all got anything on that?
I don't.
No, and I have some clients that before you close, they've measured to make sure they can go ahead and buy the right refrigerator and get the right type of washer and dryer and stuff like that. So that stuff you can go ahead and have taken care of as well. I wouldn't necessarily say buy it yet, but
don't buy it. Matter of fact, tell them don't buy it at all. Do not. Don't change your credit profile.
Just make sure you know where you can go get it.
Yes. Now, if you have cash and you're not going to pull out a large sum of cash out of your, like if you got a safe at the house, you want to buy it with that money because the underwriter is looking at all of your financials.
Right.
So it's important to know that. Like if you got cash at home, that's fine. But if you pull out $800 out of your bank, that they probably gonna want an explanation or something.
Yeah, that's what kind of like Teresa was saying. She was like, take that breathing time to not to make any purchases, charge anything, move money, don't change jobs or lose your job.
Yeah, because we have not been looking at our chat box. That's not good. We love whoever's on here. Thank y'all because it was a time getting this together this morning. And we're going to have to wrap this up. I'll push the guys along because they got long-winded here. And we've been on for an hour. I don't think they realize we've been talking for an hour.
I just want to say, does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions, you can type it in any one of the chat boxes.
And if we can't address them today, then we can address them the
sure.
next go around.
So, when will we be back? Are we coming back on next Saturday or are we going to do bi-weekly?
Let's do bi-weekly.
We're going to do bi-weekly. So we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. And I think that we'll talk about strategies for saving for your down payment. How about that as a topic?
Go into little other things in debt, like even when you purchasing land and want to build a house. Importance of perk tests and different stuff like that. But let's get a little bit more, dive into it a little bit more deeper.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to take a deep dive and I can't swim.
Hey, but we going to learn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we can get ready to wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's what I was absolutely looking for. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much.
All right. See y'all next time.
Propertunities, like us.
I'm Ricardo, Tippitt, executive broker.
Tiffany Davis, executive broker.
Nicole Kelly, sales agent.
Deontae, Mccuien, sales agent.
We'll see y'all next time.